Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of this replay between mouzHasu and GoOdy here on Steps of War. Hellions now trying to press through, but gonna take more damage than actually being able to deal with it here as these stalkers once again reinforcing it. If I didn't mention this earlier, this shoutcast and commentary is sponsored by LU Computers. Go ahead and check out their website for StarCraft 2 tested computers. There's a link on their homepage on the top right hand side. Now taking a look at the Void Rays still only have the level 1 weapon upgrade and also getting the level 1 ground armor upgrade and training up more immortals. There is one missile turret that's going to try to be placed there, but that's going to be a very, very bad day for an SCV as it goes, down it goes very, very quickly. And doesn't even have really any chance here as Vikings now pressing out. We do have Void Rays trying to press and then Stalkers blinking within that zero distance. Vikings now a little bit overexposed and now pulling back. Siege tanks already sieged up and gonna engage here. Are those Stalkers gonna be able to blink underneath and get within damage range of those Vikings? Production or attack wise, trying to attack one of those critters in the main base here. Void Rays may try to do a little bit of a pressure here. Siege tanks now sieging up, and will it be enough? Oh, blinking out of that damage range once again, and SCVs getting destroyed. Thors are not a good counter towards those Void Rays. Void Rays are not light units, so it only takes 24 damage per volley as opposed to 48. Void Rays now pushing through, but things are not looking good. We do have GoOdy with a very, very strong army, and this is how you play Terran versus Protoss without going mass marauders. I really like this strategy coming in from GoOdy. GoOdy now having 4 Thors and a large number of siege tanks production-wise, just doing such a great job. However, we are getting the Graviton Catapult, 2 carriers, and also the High Templar Amulet, which will enable those High Templars to just come in, warp in, and then lay down a lot of Psystorm. So things are going to be very, very bad for Hasu. Hasu now retreating with these probes, as probes now being transferred to this high ground expansion over here. We already see a GoOdy down to 1 base over here, and the longer this game goes, the worse it is going to be for GoOdy, as GoOdy does not have as many minerals available to him as Hasu currently does. However, Void Rays are going to try to intercept this attack in the mid line, and now going to intercept over here. Siege tanks are out of position. Vikings are going to be out of position as well. Are those Void Rays and Immortals? No, not going to be able to push through. And Hasu also has cleared out and destroyed these destructible rocks. Wow. Hasu taking this semi-island expansion, or this rock-blocked expansion, and Hasu will be able to run off of 2 bases if that expansion is not found. So most likely, I would not have put these cannons over here. I would have put them up on the high ground, just because it is very, very common for a Terran player to scan these high-yield mineral locations. Over here, GoOdy, now thinking that he's in a very, very dominant position. Vikings now moving out. Stalkers blinking. 1 Void Ray going to get destroyed here as these Void Rays continue to push. Siege tanks firing back and forth. Carriers, however, have arrived, and will they be able to deal enough damage? Stalkers blinking in and able to get a lot of damage in on some of those Vikings. So a lot of these Vikings are low on hit points as well. So siege tanks sitting here, SCVs working overtime, trying to repair all of these units here. And we do have a good number of army. We have 4375 for Hasu versus 5600, as now we have a good amount of probes. What is that? 2 control rows of probes now being transferred over. We do see a phase prism moving out over here. Are we going to have this phase prism go ahead and go into warp prism mode? Or phase mode and try to gonna go ahead and try to hit this expansion instead. There is already missile turrets being brought in over here. mouzHasu needs to try to save this observer, and now coming in with carriers instead. Carriers quickly taking down these missile turrets, and these Void Rays should be able to clean up. Now in come these Void Rays, and Vikings deciding not to engage. 1 carrier already low on hit points, and now feedback hitting one of those Thors, so that Thor taking an almost guaranteed 200 damage, as there is not the 250mm strike cannon research upgrade, and I just realized that that was not there. Alright, anyways, hopefully you guys did not see the length of the game. If you did, my apologies, as this carrier continues to fight back and forth. Vikings now chasing down one of these carriers. Carriers getting very low on hit points, as more Psystorm hitting a lot of these units. However, that siege tank was not within that Psystorm radius. Back over here, Void Rays once again pulling away. We do have 1 photon cannon sitting there, and siege tank sitting here, and now we have an army of Banshees pushing through. More carriers coming in. All of these powered by 1 pylon here, not quite sure. And now we have these units blinking, or now being cloaked. So this carrier may get or this Stargate may get destroyed before this carrier is able to be completed, and down it goes. Banshees are not upgraded. The second carrier now going to get destroyed as well as an observer being trained. Will it be up in time? Not quite sure. and this observer should be up in just a matter of seconds. And now these Banshees, because they didn't take out this observer, are gonna be destroyed very, very quickly. Observer now comes out, down goes those 4 Banshees. Over here, high yield mineral location now almost saturated, as this location is almost saturated as well. And GoOdy probably thinks he's in a no longer thinks he's in a dominant position, as there are Hellions sitting, or he sees these photon cannons sitting here, perhaps going to try to push in. But now siege tanks and this front door location not very, very well guarded. So GoOdy in a stronger position, but still a lot of siege tanks on this low ground able to continue to fire. And now these Hellions being forced to pull back. Vikings now trying to engage, and now there is only one Void Ray. Army-wise, things are not looking good for mouzHasu, as these stores now pushing through, and it's going to be a base trade here for an expansion. All of these probes will get destroyed, and now the siege tanks now focusing down that one building. Will these probes be able to make it out? Some of them will, but none of these SCVs will be able to make it out. And now this army gonna go ahead and try to pressure off over here, and GoOdy out of position. Siege tanks need to get within range very, very soon, and now taking down some of those Vikings and then blinking away in just a moment. So nicely done. Stalkers now focusing off the rest of this army, and these Viking army really overexposed, cannot be chasing that far. And now this Viking army, 2 or 3 of them were taken down as these carriers are continuing to regenerate their shields. Hellions gonna get destroyed over here. Zealots should not try to engage those Hellions. Actually, the number should be enough, but there is not Zealot charge. Once again, a nice Side Storm hitting a lot of these units here, and another Side Storm hitting this as well. Stalkers may be able to blink and now catch all of these units off guard. Yeah, Thor's caught out of position. And nicely done there. So the army of Hasu now not losing as many forces. GoOdy needs to really try to take some sort of other expansion. Otherwise, he's going to be hurting, as this expansion has already been mined out. Currently, we see Hasu mining out of this location and this location as well. So does have a little bit of a better mine per second. And now in come these Stalkers. Stalkers focusing, unable to get any real shots off. And now siege tanks, so many siege tanks able to blast away at that Immortal. Immortal with that overshield, able to take some damage before it's getting depleted. Now siege tanks continue that very, very slow push. And will these Stalkers with that movement upgrade be able to do any significant damage? No. Siege tanks continuing to deal a lot of that damage. Stalkers trying to pick off some of those Hellions, and now Stalkers blinking off to that high ground. Over here, expansion is now starting to be saturated. Probably should transfer some of these probes, as this expansion is definitely oversaturated by about 15 probes. One Hellion over here just making sure that there are no expansions that he doesn't know of, but quickly gets destroyed for all of his work. One probe or one observer still scouting out back and forth. We do have siege tanks once again blasting away at this high ground. Only will be able to take down an assimilator and a pylon, and with nothing to able to give him sight. However, Stalkers now moving in from this side. Are they going to be able to get off enough damage? Vikings heading into that ground mode, and now Hellions trying to push forward. Things are not going to look good, as those Immortals will be able to destroy Vikings when they are in ground mode, only taking 2 and 3 shots to be completely destroyed by an Immortal. Stalkers, however, continuing to just be able to blink around and move around this map. Vikings now in the air and now offering sight onto this high ground. Things not going to be looking good. A quick scanner sweep revealing all of these Stalkers over here. Stalkers, however, do not have any level 1 weapon upgrades, and now trying to get more carriers. Stalkers not able to blink and blink back, so things not working out too well for Hasu. Hasu really needs to deal with this air army here. Vikings in the air, siege tanks on the ground, so difficult to deal with. Over here, one Hellion now giving a little bit of sight, but quickly getting destroyed for all of its efforts. But still no weapons upgrades. Finally getting the Terran siege tank weapon upgrades in level 1, almost 25 minutes into this game, as these Vikings continuing to pressure a little bit. No, all those Stalkers could have gotten a couple quick shots off there, and now a Side Storm not hitting any of those units there. A quick scanner sweep revealing all of these units over here, but those overshields of those Immortals really protecting those units here. And now Vikings just continue to move back and forth. Down goes another Hellion, as this army just tries to pressure forward more and more. One siege tank now blasting away at this Viking, and now more Vikings getting taken down by Stalkers. Back and forth, really, really great. But Hasu really needs to try to change up his strategy. These Vikings are just so difficult to deal with. He's just waiting for GoOdy to change up, to make some sort of mistake and lose too many Vikings. I cannot imagine that he's going to lose any sort of mistake. GoOdy now tried to pressing over here, unable to, as the movement of Hasu's army is just too much at this time, as this Nexus is now up and should be operational in just a moment. Another expansion over here gonna get taken down. Command center now being upgraded to an orbital command. Stalkers attempting to try to take this down, but really not even all those Stalkers are attacking at the same time. Command center now down to about 900, 800 hit points. That command center will be able to complete in time. Will it be able to take down? Oh, getting within 0 range, taking down one of those siege tanks, and now going after those other two. But in comes this army, the main army of Hasu from the south side. Will it be able to catch any of these units off guards? No. Will it try to blink in? No, it's not going to try to blink in, as there's more siege tanks now coming back to reinforce. Carriers moving through, and now this one carrier with no Vikings nearby may be able to get off a lot of damage. Vikings now trying to charge in to take down this carrier. Carrier now taking some damage, but Stalker is able to come in and get off a round of attack or two to take down those Vikings. Over here, this expansion does have 3 armor with a planetary fortress, should be able to hold off any sort of minor harassment there. Missile turrets also going to be laid down. This Viking army just doing a great job so far. We have a lot of Vikings, a lot of siege tanks, but the army combination really looking like Hasu is getting the stronger and stronger army. He's not losing as many units, even though it looks the other way. I think Hasu has just been able to mine consistently more, even though it doesn't look like it right now. Back over here, siege tanks now blasting off onto this high ground. Stalker's doing a great job. And now there's 66 harvesters, 1 siege tank on that high ground. Will it be able to take down this siege tank? Yeah, carrier able to take down that siege tank with no real problem there. As the siege tank continues to try to pressure and move out a little bit further, there are Vikings now trying to move in. Vikings will be able to take down that carrier very easily. Stalker's blinking, and no, not able to get any quick shots off there, as that siege tank getting a couple round of that Crucio shock cannon off. Back over here, Hasu just getting gas, has a lot of cannons over here. Hellions will have a difficult time trying to press through, as there are so many cannons here. Hellions now trying to move through, getting choked up a little bit, unable to be microed, and now a lot of those Hellions have been taken down. Probes now moving away, and these Hellions will not be able to get any real damage off onto those probes. Continue to be chrono boosted. Stalker's going to be able to blink on in and then destroy those last 2 Hellions. There they go. Down goes that Hellion, but now an army of Vikings here. Carriers sitting here, but carriers running head on into a group of Vikings, being forced to pull back. Will this photon cannon be able to get off any quick hits? No. And there's now a lot of probes sitting idle. Needs to be transferred either here, but most likely here. Things not looking good for either side. Both sides really taking a lot of losses, but Hasu is now hurting as a harvester count and mining down to 440 compared to GoOdy's 1364. So GoOdy may be able to take this game, but now Hasu now going to go ahead and saturate this mineral line over here. Vikings continue to be in the air as they can be on the ground. Siege tanks on the ground, providing any sort of ground support, taking down this Nexus over here. Now, what exactly can Hasu do? I am not quite sure. Hasu really needs to come up with some really strong game plan in order to push and defeat GoOdy's just very strong army. His army is sitting at 5,000 minerals, and does have the level 1 weapons upgrade and armor upgrades, but we do see that Hasu now getting the level 2 weapons upgrade on those carriers will be able to deal significantly more damage as these carriers now moving around. Stalker's getting a blink and now able to get underneath some of those Vikings. So really, this is still anyone's game. Stay tuned for part 3 of this replay between mouzHasu and GoOdy here on Steps of War.